Now, here's the deal. Your income is determined by who you study with and their input. When I was bankrupt, luckily I'd sold enough. Somebody gave me a tape. I listened to this one tape 287 times. I wrote the guy who made the tape, who was the dean of speakers in America, Cabot Robert. He wrote me back a handwritten note and said, come to this meeting down in Phoenix. I had no money. I had 2 people put up a credit card so I could fly down to Phoenix and see Cabot Robert. He welcomed me in, and he was as big as I am, and he was patting me on the shoulder and said, I'm so glad you're here. But during the talk, he said, if you can't write a whole book, write a chapter and do a multi-authored book. I went, I can do that. I hit the guy next to me, Keith Green. I said, can you edit? He said, I was editor of Law School Journal. I said, good, I'll get 14 people in this room to put up $2,000 each. That year I sold 10,000 books at $20 each, made basically $200,000 minus a buck a book. All because I studied with people who knew how to make money. If your income is the average of the 5 to 7 people's income that you hang with. If you hang with poor people, you get poor. Last night I had dinner here in your city, down on here with 2 billionaires. If you hang with people that are really well off, you get to be extraordinarily well off. Everyone say, I can do this. Everyone? Now, the question is, what do you really want? Everyone take your hands out and say, there's a golden egg in front of me. Everyone, if you get clear about what you want, you can have it. And there's 7 categories of goals as far as I'm concerned. This is picturesque. I'd ask you tonight to write 101 goals. How many goals? I want you to do it in 20 minutes. How many minutes? I want you to pretend you're 12 years old. And there's no limits. So first of all, under your earning power, you want to write, I'm so happy I'm earning how much? Now remember, $1 million, you got to blow past all the other numbers first. And then you want to do your net worth. Then you want to say, well, what would I like to do for fun time? And you figure that out. And then you say, well, what would I like to do with family and relationships? So my recommendation is, how many of you have children or grandkids? Could I see raise hands? Is on a weekly basis, if it's possible for you, you sit knee to knee with your kids and your spouse, and you say, look, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how is our relationship? If you got teenagers like I do, if you can get to a 7, you're doing great. Social goals. What do you want to do socially? And what kind of experiences do you want to have? Like in last year, I've climbed Kilimanjaro in Africa, and I just climbed Machu Picchu and did 479 flights of stairs a day, and then we climbed Machu Picchu afterward just to see. Because I want to see how good a shape I can be in, because I plan on living another 67 healthful, vigorous years. What do you want to do spiritually? Like one of my students said, look, Mark, you can get with anyone. I was born in China, and I think what we did to the Dalai Lama in Tibet is immoral. Can you get me with the Dalai Lama? I said, yeah. We got with His Holiness. I said, Your Holiness, my student, Larry, has done really well in Silicon Valley. He's made so much money. He wants to buy back Tibet and have his friends help and raise $10 billion, buy it back from the Chinese, and give it to you. For the next 5 minutes, the Dalai Lama laughed uproariously, and I thought, oh, my God. Man, if I had low self-esteem, I'd go under the carpet. But then I've only seen auras twice in my life, and I saw pink energy emanating off this guy towards me, and I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. I said, Your Holiness, I just got to be clear. Do you want me to do it or do you not want me to do it? He says, Mark, I want you to do it. And this guy's doing it now. It's amazing what you can do. But you got to get yourself financially free, and you got to get out of limitation, and you got to get out of stuckness, and you got to get out of being a wage slave. You got to decide that you're going to have money freedom, which buys you time freedom. Time freedom gives you relationship freedom. I take 90 days off a year. Relationship freedom gives you spiritual freedom, so you can figure out who you are in your higher power, whatever you call that. There's 367 names for it. And then what you want to do is get to your genius freedom, because you're here to be a genius. Point at your temple, say, I'm here to be a genius. Nelson Mandela said, who of us by living small adds anything to the world? So you got giant spiritual availability. Back to money. How much money do you want? If you've never written it down and written down what you're going to give yourself, both in earning power and net worth. Net worth is assets minus liabilities equals net worth. And then what you got to write down is by when. When are you going to give it to yourself? And put it in the calendar and feelingly believe it before you go to sleep. When you go to sleep at night, you close your outer eyes, you tilt your inner eyes up at a 45-degree angle, you listen to a little Pachelbel canon in D, and you visualize to realize, you go into your future and bring it back from the future, so to speak. Now, quickly, we're going to add music. We'll turn up the music for 30 seconds, but write down, what are your 10 best income opportunities right now? If you'd write it down, please. You get to continue that when you get home, and remember, you're going to write 101 goals tonight, and this cartoon says that if we pull this off, we'll get to eat like kings. Around the world, as I travel, I ask people, what are the 10 things you want to do before your lifetime's over? And most people say, well, I want to own my own business. Then you write it down, and if you really go into deeper consciousness and you sit there meditatively and you have an idea notebook or a future diary or a journal, you write down, what is it that I'd like to do? When Oprah Winfrey is sitting with Steven Spielberg and making the movie Color Purple, Steven Spielberg is journaling, and he writes down he's going to have his own company. He's going to call it DreamWorks, and he's going to make $1 billion a year. Oprah is sitting with him and says, Steven, can I copy that in my journal? She takes her company, her name, Oprah, does it backwards and calls it Harpo Productions, and she writes down, I'm going to be making $1 billion a year, and she's the first woman in America ever to make $1 billion. Remember what I said, the minute you write it down, it is already true. All you do is catch up to it. When I was bankrupt, I wrote down, I will travel around the world, get to speak to giant audiences like this. I saw you in my dreams, in my vision, in my imagination 33 years ago. And that's why you're in my dreams, so thank you for being here. Give yourself a round of applause for being in my dreams 33 years ago, if you don't mind. Thank you. I want you to have big dreams where you're your own boss. I want you to have dreams that you get to run for an elected office with or without pay. A little harder in this country. The lady on TV this morning interviewing me says, we are a benevolent democracy. I said the world sees it different, but good for you. Anyhow, you might... He's done a great job. You've got a glorious country with lots of greenery and very little poverty, so I'm very keen on Singapore. Whoops. Ed said be a volunteer. How many of you want to travel more than you've ever traveled? Can I see you raise your hands? There's a book you want to read called 1,001 Places You Got to Visit Before You Die. Like I just took my friends and we just hiked down the Grand Canyon. Now, when I took my dad to the Grand Canyon, I said, Dad, this took 100 million years. He said, a government job? We did have a soup pie, which is just extraordinarily glorious, a week ago. This one says, you want to write a book or an article or a poem or something and get it published. You want to own your own home. How many of you already own your own home? Can I see your hands? If you don't, and that would be important to you, just write it down. I'm so happy I'm owning my own home, and visualize to realize how many bedrooms you got, the kind of kitchen you got, the bathroom, the living room, the dining room. When you visualize with your eyes closed, what is the scenery you want to see outside, or condo, whatever it is that you want, because you can have it if you get it in your mind. You want to own stocks and bonds, or maybe you want to sell some and individualize that and individuate that, because you can pull off anything that you want. You want to participate in a play or theater or something outrageous. And then this is easy for most of you. Exceed your parents' educational level. 40 years ago, before Senior Minister Lee, this was a backwater country, and one guy had the vision. One guy decided to make a difference. One guy decided to take you to the #1 airport, the #1 seaport, the #1 airline. Right now, you're the #3 financial port. And on the TV today, the lady says, well, can we be #1? I said, the deal is, once you're #1 something, you can be #1 a lot of things. Like right now, we're the #1 best-selling book, but I've just finished the play called Chicken Soup for the Soul play. Within a year, we'll have it come here. I predict that I'm going to become bigger than Andrew Lloyd Webber because I did all the music with the #1 lyricist in America, Paul Williams, the guy who wrote all the Sesame Street music, Barbra Streisand's #1 songs, The Carpenters, and now he's got the #1 play in New York on Broadway with Gary Marshall called Happy Days. It used to be a TV show, and now it's a play in Broadway. You can do a lot of stuff if you just write it down. I've got over 6,000 goals in writing. Actually, 6,826. But, you know, when you write a goal, you've got it, and then you just catch up to it. And minimally, you want to keep educating, and you need to keep coming to the TANS meetings because these are important to do. Now, the question is, are there people in your profession earning 10 times as much as you do? And the answer is obviously yes. Why? They've professionalized themselves to accelerate their income and accelerate their life and make it better for them and make it better for everyone else. Nelson Mandela, I said this to you, who of us by playing small adds anything to the world? He's in his 80s. I'm working with him now to end 100 million landmines in the world. That's his legacy goal. In Mozambique in August, we are flying over with Richard Branson in a little hot air balloon. We've got a machine that shows exactly where the landmines are. We can tell if people are there. We can go 30 feet in the ground. We can blow them up instantly. Then Branson's got a new dust that you put over the soil that makes it instantly arable. We're going to grow Aramis, which is one of the 6 ways I know to get rid of AIDS, because when people drink this tea called Aramis, you can go online and look it up. So just you can spell it phonetically. It starts with an A. Anyhow, it gets the T cell count up in 2 weeks, and we got to end AIDS in the world. There's a lot of stuff we can do, but you got to be careful not to listen to the media. The place I went today to do the media for a second time, I was there yesterday and today, you got to go in with a passport. The head of the station walked out and says, isn't it a crime, after listening to you for a half hour, however long I talked, she said that all our media is so negative. I said, because most of the world is working most of the time, you got to have negative media. That's what sells. That's what you get paid for. She says, but I get so jaded. You want to shut off the media for the next 30 days and maybe all the negative media for the rest of your life, or if you have to watch it for some reason, you want to put, like in Star Trek, a yellow shield around yourself so you don't get sucked into all the negativity. Back to this. How much is your time worth? Sorry for doing these asides, but I hope they're important to you. You could be a little kid and just earn $1 an hour in a lemonade stand or work for minimum wage and, you know, or you could be a high-paid professional as a neurosurgeon or a trial lawyer, make $1 million, or Tiger Woods gets $100,000 an hour. You and I decide how much we're worth. Think and Grow Rich says, I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more, no matter how I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed. Any wage I'd asked of life, life would have willingly paid. Most of you haven't asked enough. Everyone say, I'm accepting more. Everyone? Here's the kind of freedoms I think you want. Everyone say, I'm financially free. Everyone? You need to decide that before you can achieve that. You want to be greatly philanthropic, it seems. To me, you want to get rid of all time constraints, right? So you have time freedom and money freedom, as we said. You want to be socially free. You want to learn how to do the Viennese dance. We're going to dance at a ball in Greece in 2 weeks. I'll be there. Futuristically, what would you like to pull off? There's so much cool stuff we can do thanks to the internet. It makes us free at a level that we've never been free before. Emotionally, you want to get rid of all the bondage or rid of all the cargo. You want to make sure you're into health and healing. The top hospital in the world happens to be in Kona, Hawaii, where I have a home. And this guy's got 28 modalities of healing, starting with allopathic medicine. This is the guy who invented the pacemaker, my friend Dr. Earl Bakken. But he goes all the way to the top one, which is Jin-Jin-Jitsu out of Japan. And then the patient gets to decide what he or she wants to do as their healing modality. So we're in a great, glorious new time. And then the question is, point at your temples again and say, how am I going to use my genius? Everyone? Now, your boss can't figure it out. Your spouse can't figure it out. Your kids can't figure it out. Only one person can figure it out. Who can figure it out? Everyone say me. Remember, we said you're 1 mega idea plus 1 mega contact away from whose fortune? Everyone say mine. Everyone hold up one finger and say 1. This lady named Kim was in a car accident. The doctor put the wrong drop in her eye and made her permanently and instantaneously blind. She comes out to a seminar where I say, look, you can't come to this seminar without making money. We don't let you leave unless you make money within 24 hours. And we had the top guy I train eBay's super sellers, and we had their top guy training who shows everyone how to make money instantly on eBay, which I believe in. She was being blind. She was never going to get to work again, started making money. Last year she made $2.8 million. She is now dedicated to teaching every blind person how to become financially free and independent, of which we have 3.8 million blind people in America. You and I need to decide that we're going to do some stuff that makes a difference that nobody else is playing with. Because there's a big picture, there's a big world, and you're here to participate in it. Now you say, well, why do you say that to us in Singapore? Because Singapore's always been one of the trading capitals of the Middle East. You're crossbred world man here. You're the only place with 7 crosswinds historically. Now you're the most superbly educated place, the most cosmopolitan city, and you've got every language basically of the Far East being spoken in one place. Now, when you're setting your goals, you want to be, everyone say it? This is my partner's favorite cartoon. It said, look, lady, you're the one who asked for a famous movie star with dark hair, strong nose, and deep-set eyes. When you're writing your goals, you don't want to be a generalist. You want to be a specificist. I guess I'll make up a new word. You could say, I want a new winter home. Or Jack said, I want a 2-bedroom beachfront villa on the west coast of Maui, Hawaii by January 1st, 2008 at 12 noon. I think he'll have it. Financially, I told you I'm creating 1 million millionaires. You need to visualize what you're going to realize that they're going to happen. And we're going to do it by 2020 AD, so you can pull it off. Now, I said I'd show you how to 100-fold your income or add 2 zeros. So if you're earning $30,000, you add 1 zero, it goes to $300,000 a year. You add 2 zeros, it goes to $3 million a year. When I was thinking about this and looking at how did we sell so many books and what did we do, the principle of sigmoid curve is usually you lose money. Like Jack and I were both $140,000 upside down when 144 people told us, hit the road, Jack. And I went, it's okay if you don't like him, but I'm a nice guy. Anyhow, he's great. You're down. Once we started accelerating up, we did Chicken Soup for the Soul 1. And that started to rock, and we were #1 New York Times. And then we came out with a second helping of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And then for the next 58 weeks, we were either #1 or 2 in New York Times. And then we came out with a new book. We decided to do Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. And our publisher said, I've got teenagers. They don't buy anything but CDs, concert tickets, and clothes. I said, thank you, God. Every time he says a book won't sell, it rocks. It sold 19 million the first year. Why? If you and I are teenagers and we go to a movie, we come out and you go, wow. I say, give me an exegesis on wow. You can't do it. But if you read a story like I Wish I Had a Brother Like That, it unzips your heart chakra and you and I will talk for the rest of the night. I'm at Ball State University and 3 girls take me out to lunch before I talk to 20,000 kids. And I said, we would have dropped out of school if it weren't for your book. We read your stories at night because we were so homesick and lonely and we wanted to go home. So we did Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul, and that thing just rocked. What it means is when you're succeeding and you're going up and you can hardly breathe, you've got to come up with your next product, your next service, your next idea, your next personality growth, your next before you finish the last. It seems impossible, but that is the obligation of anyone that wants to be super successful. And you've only got to do it for a short time, and then it becomes effortless ease. You get the wind beneath your wings, and you become an unconscious competent at doing it. And you get to explosively have economic growth that has economic growth that becomes automatic. Everyone say automatic. Now, basically, there's 4 types of people. I learned this from Rocky Lang, this is a guy who is for 9 years in high school because his father said, you're nobody, you're nothing, you'll never be anything. He came to Taiwan, heard my seminar 10 years ago, and I said, write 101 goals. And he wrote down that he was going to become a millionaire, that he was going to have a Rolls Royce, he was going to have a Jaguar, that he was going to have a house in Taiwan and Shanghai and Beijing, Hong Kong, that he's going to have hundreds of employees. He's now got all that. He flew all night long just to talk to me for 5 minutes this morning, and then he flew back to Shanghai. I was astounded because we're bringing 58,000 people in the convention center in Shanghai together with Donald Trump and Steve Wynn and myself on August 9th. So he flew all the way in. But here we are in China with an interpreter because he doesn't speak a lick of English. And he gave me 2 ideas that I want to share with you if this goes forward. 4 types of people. He said there's people with no dreams and no money. Okay, no dreams and money. Then you got people with dreams and no money. And the goal that I want to have for you is you have lots of dreams and unlimited money. Take your left hand and say, lots of dreams and unlimited money. One more time. Take your right hand and say, unlimited money. Because you all can make unlimited money. If you change your state of awareness, you change your state of finance. And I'm here to give you the roadmap, the treasure map to having unlimited money. Now, the other thing Rocky said is, look, if you have no money, then your father had no money, your great-grandfather had no money, and that probably means that your kids are going to have people. Give yourself a great round of applause. Thank you for being here, everybody. It's been my great pleasure to be with you. Thank you.